So her parents are here, like I've stated. They get $3,500 each a month for old age or some kind of government funding.
$3,500 each a month for coming to Canada. It sounds like a great deal for them and a horrible deal for Canadians. Welcome to the channel. If you could, please hit that like button so more people can see how the Liberals are wasting our tax dollars. Also consider subscribing. I put out a new video every day. Make sure you stick around to the end because I've got some great clips here today. There are quite a few videos online of immigrants receiving large payments from the government.
Listen to this story that a family member shared with me today. So she told me that she works with a new immigrant, a couple of them, one of my family members, and she's been getting to know this girl a little bit, and they share in a lot of conversations about different things. This girl had asked my family member, you're kind of up there in age, a little, around the same age as my parents. She said, doesn't the government give you some money for being your age? So I think she was meaning more like CPP kind of thing like that, right? This coworker was telling my family member that her parents have been here for 2 years and have come from India. And a lot of the things online and stuff try to portray that they have to be here so many years, they got to do this, they don't qualify for this, their family has to support them financially with this and that. But this girl explained to my family member that that's not the case. Her parents have been here for 2 years. She's been here for a couple of years doing her student financial things and education, financial working, whatever. So her parents are here, like I've stated. They get $3,500 each a month for old age or some kind of government funding.
There's more to the clip that I'll play, but I wanted to stop and ask, let me know your thoughts in the comments. Why are these immigrants receiving more money than Canadian seniors? And how many are getting this amount? They shouldn't be getting 1 cent, never mind 4 to 5 times the amount a Canadian gets that paid into it for their whole life.
This girl who works with my family member, the coworker of my family member, was surprised and shocked and couldn't believe that my family member doesn't get the same help and the same amount, and couldn't believe that it's different for people who have immigrated here. So it's just a really weird story, and I don't think this girl has any reason to lie, and my family member isn't going to lie to me about something like this. So she's, been pretty open with my family member, and I thought you had to be here so many years in order to qualify for any kind of old age or any kind of government funding in regards to age, you know what I mean? So yeah, just thought that was a little interesting. Do what you will with the information, but yeah, they have us out here believing that it's the families who are supporting them financially and they're not entitled to government money. But this girl is telling my family member that her parents, between the two of them, have $7,000 that they get from the government every month to live. They don't work, and they live off of that.
Is Canada really that bad now that we have to pay people to come here? If we had a competent government, we could be having people pay to come here. The Liberals seem to be doing everything wrong, throwing our hard-earned money down the drain, and for what? To buy voters? Where I live, there are immigrant families everywhere, and they are in expensive homes, driving fancy cars. How is that even possible? I was laid off in January from my job, and I can't find any work. For the first time in my life at the age of 46, I can't even get an interview. Just to let people know how bad things are out there, graduated twice from 2 different programs at the best college in the province. I have a great resume with a lot of experience, and I can't even land an interview for not only the jobs I'm qualified for, but jobs I'm overqualified for. The mass immigration needs to stop. Enough of that. Jumping into Pierre Poilievre and what he recently had to say about Mark Carney.
Well, I'm glad that Mr. Carney has noticed my proposal from 3 years ago to develop the Port of Churchill, which I proposed back in the spring of 2022. But what I find incredible is that he has been in power for 170 days, and not only is there not a single shovel in the ground on any of these projects, there's not even firm proposals for these projects. Let me put this into context. He was in Germany. The Germans built, from concept to completion, an entire LNG import terminal in 194 days. That's about how long Mark Carney has been Prime Minister. And he still doesn't even know what projects he wants to build, or how he's going to build them, or which companies are going to do the building. So what I think you're going to see from Mr. Carney is more big promises without any action. It's more liberal show business rather than getting it done. And I would say, don't confuse activity with achievement.
It's funny you said that. Don't confuse activity with achievement. I mentioned that in one of my recent videos, that Mark Carney is flying all over the world, giving these ridiculous speeches, and at the same time he's accomplishing absolutely nothing, besides wasting our tax dollars. Somehow, the Liberals keep falling for it. I get comments from them about how he's doing such a great job and that he's accomplished so much, but of course they can't say what. When a Liberal comments on this channel, it is one of two comments: a direct insult at me, which I keep up. I don't delete any comments. Or it's a comment about how Mark Carney has a great resume and so much experience. The same two comments over and over. How can these people be so blind as to see what's actually going on?
Mr. Carney has been frantically jetting around the world doing photo ops and signing phony declarations that are unenforceable and have no money attached to them. But in 170 days, he doesn't have a single project underway, while $60 billion of investment, Canadian money, has fled our country, mostly to the United States, impoverishing our people and enriching foreign workers. So what I'm saying to Mr. Carney is I'm extending the hand of friendship to all parties. Adopt the Canadian Sovereignty Act, which will rapidly legalize pipelines, mines, LNG plants, ports, open our economy up to the world. It will get rid of the capital gains tax on any reinvestment that is done in Canada to make our economy roar. Our workers will have paychecks that grow. Our economy will be self-reliant. And I say to Mr. Carney, steal my ideas. Take the credit for it. I'll help you write the bill. You can be the one to introduce and pass it. Let's just get it done. It's time to stop stopping and start starting.
Pierre mentions Carney signing phony declarations that aren't enforceable. If you don't know, he's referring to Mark Carney and the media trying to pass off this pretend mineral deal or partnership with Germany, when it was actually a joint declaration of intent, which in reality means absolutely nothing. It's just that they agree that they may possibly down the road, maybe speak in the future. Now, into, and I can't believe I'm saying this, Quebec's plan to strengthen secularism.
In an effort to strengthen secularism in Quebec, at least that is what the provincial government is saying, it intends to present a bill this fall that would ban prayer in public. Angie Seth is back on this story. And Angie, why are they making this push?
Well, it has been top of the agenda, Ian, for quite some time for the Legault government, confirming now, of course, that they're going to be tabling this bill, banning prayer in public spaces. In a statement, Secularism Minister Jean-François Roberge called the proliferation of prayer in streets a, quote, serious and sensitive issue. He goes on to say, quote, the Premier of Quebec has given me the mandate to strengthen secularism, and I am determined to fulfill this mandate diligently. This fall, we will therefore introduce a bill to strengthen secularism in Quebec, in particular by banning street prayers.
We are getting into some dangerous territory here. Why aren't we just banning the people that are praying in the streets and blocking traffic? Wouldn't that make more sense? This could be weaponized to arrest anyone for any reason. Maybe a lot of people don't care about this, and let me know in the comments if you do or don't, but I'm not okay with it. They brought in these people to the country that caused so many problems that we are now taking rights away from Canadians. It's really sick. The people that are praying in the streets blocking traffic should be deported the first time they do it. Get them out. Send them home.
This all coming on the heels of a release of a report by a committee this week on how the province could strengthen that secularism. Guillaume Rousseau is one of the co-presidents of that committee titled Study Respect for the Principles of the State of Secularism Act and Religious Influences. He goes on to say this. Take a listen here.
So we really insist that freedom of conscience is especially important for children, and in our definition, we also insist on freedom of religion, but also freedom from religion.
What an absolute mess Canada has become. I know the argument's going to be, if you want to pray, go to church, but it's not the Christians that are praying in the streets blocking traffic. And they shouldn't have the right to pray in a public space taken away because we let in these ungrateful people. And I'm not saying all the immigrants are ungrateful, so don't get me wrong. But the ones that are causing the problem need to at least be punished, if not deported. Now, great story from Juno News, and I'm not going to play the video because I don't want to take away from her work. So go check out her video and drop a like. The good old CBC, the one that we are so lucky to pay for, hiring foreign workers because they just can't find Canadians to do the job. They obviously didn't even try. I think we all know what's going on here. Save money with foreign workers, pay themselves more. The CBC needs to go. And speaking of needing to go, Doug Ford.
As the U.S. continues to put tariffs on Canada, Premier Doug Ford says there's no plan to allow the sale of American alcohol in Ontario.
It's still going to be banned until they cut the tariffs or we make a deal with them. It's not coming on our shelves.
So if
and our wine is up over 67%, wine sales for Ontario.
Ford decided to pull American alcohol from shelves in Ontario back in March in response to U.S. tariffs. And when asked today what the province might do with expired booze, he said that there's still a few months before anything expires.
I think this U.S. ban on alcohol is just ridiculous, extremely childish on the part of Doug Ford, but the alcohol that is about to expire was already paid for by our tax dollars. Why wouldn't they just sell it and recoup the money? Why is our government so wasteful? I really think Ontario needs a new premier. He's up in front of the cameras daily bashing Trump. His main focus is alcohol and usually trying to make it more accessible to the public while he's trying to cozy up with his buddy there, Mark Carney. Now, jumping into Mark Carney getting bashed on the CBC by Conservative Adam Chambers.
Adam Chambers is the Conservative international trade critic, and he joins me now. Hi, sir. Thanks for coming on. Nice to see you.
Thanks for having me here, JP.
So the Prime Minister signed agreements with Poland, Germany, and Latvia during his swing through Europe. He's trying to open up new markets with the Canada-US relationship on shaky ground. But the Conservatives, I take it, are not giving this trip very good reviews. Tell me why.
Well, look, I would say I've been around politicians long enough to judge them by what they do, not just by what they say. And, Mr. Carney ran during the election saying that Canada had to act faster than we've ever acted before. And yet, we're seeing lots of words. But as you mentioned in the lead in here, no dollar values, not a lot of substance in what we say. So while some people may find these actions promising, I think we'll reserve judgment until we actually see some substance and some meat on the bone.
Mark Carney trying to open up new markets, and that is fine, but his focus should be on America making a deal. This is going to backfire on him. Donald Trump isn't liking this, and when you upset Trump, it's going to cost you. Well, it's going to cost us.
Pierre Poilievre said yesterday that essentially nothing had been accomplished in Germany by the Prime Minister, but we saw that ruffled the feathers a little bit of the German ambassador. I don't know if you saw this, but he took to social media to gently chastise Mr. Poilievre, and he says that there was progress made in jointly developing Canada's critical minerals and that, that's, quote, far from nothing. What's your message to the Germans who are a little peeved?
Well, actually, I feel a little bit sorry for the Germans in that, it wasn't that long ago the Chancellor was over visiting former Prime Minister Trudeau, and we sent him home empty-handed, saying that there wasn't a business case for LNG. And now the Liberal government has flip-flopped on itself and reversed this decision. So in one way, I think it's encouraging that we're realizing that we should be selling LNG to Europe. But I recognize that the Germans are in a little bit of a difficult spot because not that long ago, this Liberal government had the exact opposite position that it seems to have today.
It's that they tried to pass this off as a partnership, and it's not. A lot of the mainstream media was calling this a deal, and it isn't. It's nothing more than a piece of paper saying they will speak. That's not an accomplishment. That's not progress. And it shouldn't even be a public announcement. The Liberals are accomplishing nothing, which is why they release this, knowing that the Liberal voters will eat it up as a victory.
Yeah, of course. Prime Minister Trudeau saying there's no business case. I've had the German ambassador on this week. I've had the Polish ambassador on this week, and both said they are very much open to Canadian LNG. And the Prime Minister has changed his tune. At least this is a different kind of Liberal, if you will, because he says he's willing to supply an energy-hungry Europe with LNG. He says there are enormous opportunities to develop LNG in this country, a lot different than what we heard from Prime Minister Justin Trudeau. Are you happy about that about-face?
Well, look, as I said previously, I think we have to judge a government by its actions, and we haven't yet seen anything announced in terms of being able to deliver LNG to Europe. I mean, they're begging for it. In fact, they say they even buy discounted LNG through America. So, it's nice that we're hearing some things from the Liberal government that seem different than Prime Minister Trudeau, but we actually haven't seen much in the way of anything being delivered or concretely suggested that would give us some comfort that we're actually going to be able to secure these deals. And so that's what's important for us. Conservatives have been consistent for the last decade that we need to be selling our energy to the world. By the way, cleaner energy to the world. Canadian LNG is much cleaner than some LNG you can get in other parts of the world, and certainly much better than getting it from countries like Russia.
I don't believe the Liberals can pull it off. Everything they are involved with goes bad. Unless, of course, they have a way that they themselves are going to profit from this directly. Even if it does happen, the wasteful spending of the Liberals will just put more money in the pockets of people overseas, spending money on things like gender studies in Uganda, or putting it in the pockets of immigrants, not Canadians.
Mr. Poilievre also panned the Prime Minister's decision to lift some of the retaliatory tariffs last week. He says, if he was in charge, he would put in countermeasures on the Americans. Do you support hitting the U.S. with more tariffs?
Well, if we look at Mr. Carney's rhetoric during the campaign, and then we judge him by what his actions have been since the campaign, it's basically the complete opposite of what he promised Canadians during the campaign. He campaigned on, we'll have our elbows up, we're going to drop our gloves when someone challenges us. But every single decision that Prime Minister Carney has made since the campaign has been completely the opposite. He has given many concessions to the Americans, yet it is unclear whether we've gotten anything in return. Maybe that's why President Trump basically endorsed Mr. Carney during the campaign and said he didn't really like Pierre Poilievre that much because we would have been maybe more difficult to negotiate with.
This is exactly why he wanted Carney. Trump is able to walk all over him. If we get a deal with the US, I bet it's not going to be a good one, but Carney and the CBC will tell us it's the best deal. I mean, they just did exactly that by removing the retaliatory tariffs they put on and then told us we have the best deal.
But do you support tariffs? Do you think that's a prudent approach?
JP, I think you have to, we're not at the negotiating table currently. We don't know what's going on. Is it possible that the only way to get Americans talking to Canadians again was to reverse the tariffs? I'm not sure. But we have to look at the entirety of the deal when we do see a deal to judge Mr. Carney on whether he's able to secure one. I mean, Mr. Carney said he wanted the job. We had to hire he said, hire me, hire the Liberal Party because we'll be able to negotiate to Donald Trump and stand up to him. Yet, his actions are not in keeping with that same promise.
The retaliatory tariffs were a horrible idea in the first place, but likely did have to be removed to continue negotiations. But once they had made that bad decision to put them on, it would have only made sense to get something back in return for taking them off. It seems Mark Carney exaggerated his negotiating skills. I'm going to end the video here. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. I'll see you in the next one.